Have you ever been in a disagreement with someone and watched them just stop, not storm out, not raise their voice? They go quiet, they withdraw, their eyes go somewhere else. And no matter what you say next, you are no longer reaching them. They are there physically, but completely gone in every other way. And the frustrating thing, the thing that makes conflict with these people so difficult, is that you cannot tell if they are being passive aggressive, or protecting themselves, or simply incapable of staying present when things get hard. Psychology says it is almost never any of those things. It is something older, something the body learned before the mind had words for it. 1. Their nervous system learned that conflict meant danger. Neuroscience and trauma psychology show that the shutdown response in conflict is not a choice, at least not initially. It is a physiological event. When a person grew up in an environment where raised voices, tension, or confrontation reliably preceded something frightening, unpredictable, anger, emotional withdrawal, punishment, chaos, the nervous system encoded a survival response. Go still, go quiet, become small, wait for it to pass. This response was adaptive then. It kept them safe. But the nervous system doesn't update automatically when the environment changes. In adulthood, the same signal conflict triggers the same response, not because they are choosing to shut down, because their body does it before they can decide otherwise. 2. They are not being silent, they are flooding. Psychologist John Gottman's research on conflict in relationships identifies a state called emotional flooding, where physiological arousal during conflict rises so rapidly and so completely that the higher brain functions responsible for language, reason, and empathy become temporarily inaccessible. Heart rate spikes. The body moves into emergency mode. And the result, from the outside, looks like stonewalling, cold, absent, unreachable. But from the inside, it is not coldness. It is overwhelm at a volume the body cannot process and speak through simultaneously. They are not withholding, they are drowning, and silence is the only thing they can manage while they try to surface. 3. Words feel like weapons they are afraid to use or be used by. Research on communication patterns in conflict-avoidant individuals shows that many people who go silent during arguments have a complicated and painful relationship with language in moments of high emotion. Either they grew up watching words used as instruments of damage and are terrified of doing the same, or they grew up having their own words twisted, dismissed, or used against them. So they stopped. They decided somewhere along the way that in a heated moment, nothing they said would be received accurately. That speaking was a risk with a low probability of the outcome they actually wanted. Silence for them is not avoidance. It is a form of harm reduction. 4. They need time to process before they can speak, and nobody ever gave them that time. Psychology identifies a significant difference in emotional processing speed between individuals. Some people think out loud, the conversation is the processing. But others, often more introverted, more sensitive, more deeply wired, need time alone with their feelings before they can articulate them accurately or safely. In conflict, these people shut down not because they have nothing to say, but because what they have to say is not yet formed. They are still inside it, still sorting it. And being pushed to speak before they are ready produces not honesty, but either silence or an explosion, neither of which resembles what they actually feel. 5. Somewhere, staying quiet kept the peace, and they never stopped paying that price. Developmental research on conflict suppression shows that many people who go silent in arguments grew up in households where the spoken rule, or the unspoken one, which is always louder, was that keeping the peace mattered more than speaking the truth. They watched adults go silent. Or they learned that their voice, raised in disagreement, produced consequences they couldn't afford. So silence became strategy. It de-escalated. It protected. It preserved something fragile that speaking might have shattered. The problem is that a strategy learned in childhood doesn't retire when childhood ends. It simply becomes a reflex. And reflexes do not ask permission before they arrive. 6. The silence is not the end of the conversation. It is a request the person doesn't know how to make. This is what psychology finds at the core of every person who shuts down in conflict. Underneath the quiet, underneath what looks like absence or indifference or retreat, is almost always a request. Give me time. Don't push me right now. I am not abandoning this conversation. I am trying to find a way back into it that doesn't make everything worse. I need you to stay not right here, not right now, pushing, but close enough that I know this is survivable. The shutdown is not the message. The shutdown is what happens when a person doesn't have language for the message. And the most generous thing anyone can offer someone like this is not pursuit, it is patience. The door held open, the conversation left unfinished but not abandoned. The quiet signal that when they are ready, they will not return to a room that punished them for needing time. If you go silent instead of arguing, psychology doesn't call that emotional immaturity or conflict avoidance or a communication failure. It calls it a nervous system that learned, in conditions it did not choose, that silence was the safest available response to danger. You are not broken in disagreement. You are not uncaring. You are not trying to punish anyone with your quiet. You are a person whose body moves faster than your words in moments of intensity, and who deserves a relationship, and a relationship with yourself, in which that is understood rather than weaponized. The silence was never the problem. It was always just the signal, and now, slowly, you can begin to learn what it was trying to say. If you recognize yourself in this, in the going quiet, the going somewhere else, the inability to stay present when conflict arrives, subscribe. Because on this channel, we don't just name the behavior, we follow it all the way back to where it began. And we stay there long enough to show you that what you learned to do to survive was never who you actually are. It was only